Husky. Hey, Husky, come on. What's going on? What are you doing? Should I sit? Yeah.
Okay, so we're here. This is season 4, episode 5, The Five Wood, a classic. I'm Susie Essman.
I'm Jeff Garlin.
And our special guest today...
Bryan, whatever you're doing just made a lot of noise.
Our special guest today is making noise, is Bryan Gordon, who directed this episode.
Does anybody still use a pen?
I do.
Yeah,
we all use pens.
By the way, whenever I write longhand, and then I have my assistant... I have an assistant. Type it up for me. That's how I do it. That's how it's done.
And Bryan, this is season 4. So this is the 4th episode you directed, because you directed one per season. The first one was Affirmative Action. The second was The Acupuncturist. And season 3 was the classic special section, which you won a DGA award.
Hey,
and
Bryan,
nominated for an Emmy, if I'm correct.
Bryan,
Yes.
I was talking about in that episode how sad I was that 2 things. One is that we lost the scene of Larry and I sitting and talking outside the graveyard with Richard and Shelley coming up, and Richard wanted to test out the drive. I was so sad to lose that. That's one of my favorite scenes ever in the history of the show. It was a tough one.
Do you have a series of episodes that you could put together of scenes that didn't make the cut?
If Megan Murphy was still working for the show, she could have done that. But
Megan Murphy was our post-production coordinator.
And so she knows where the dead bodies are, if you will.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
I was also sad because we lost great stuff, that because of time, we had to make the grave digging a montage. That killed me.
Oh my God, that killed me because we spent all night digging that damn grave.
I know that.
Yes.
I know. And so to have it be a montage.
We were up till like 3 a.m. digging a grave.
Easy. By the way, I actually remember 5, sir. 5 in the morning. It was an all-nighter in a graveyard.
Oh, my God.
And I'm sorry I wasn't there, even though it was till 5 in the morning in the graveyard.
Graveyard shoots are really fun. I'm being totally serious. They're really fun because they're just so absurd that you're in a graveyard shooting at night.
Well, especially that episode. You're in a graveyard digging up his mother's grave because she had a tattoo on her ass. I mean, it's as bizarre as you can get.
The special section. The special section.
I did a number of graveyard episodes.
You did the other ones too?
And we were
always, it seems we were always at that cemetery, I believe it was in Altadena. We were always in same cemetery,
But this one, I think we switched off. We did the memorial in the Hollywood behind Paramount there.
The part where he's talking to the guy.
Exactly.
There's a lot of funerals in this show.
Yeah. A
lot of funerals and a lot of golf. This episode has one of my favorite scenes that I've ever done of all time. But we're going to start at the beginning. The Five Wood. This is a classic. It really is.
It is considered one of the classic Curb episodes. Yeah. By far.
Grateful.
Yeah.
Grateful.
You've directed several. The Black Swan you directed also, didn't you, Brian?
Another that
was a classic
memorial.
As well.
That's Paul Mazursky.
Maybe you'll come back for that
episode.
one.
Yeah, Paul Mazursky with the sign. That was, and by the way, that's the famous scene with Mr. Takahashi and us. It was the first big one of the 4 of us standing there. Yeah.
I love that scene where he just says, "You have big mouth wife." He says to you. Okay, so we start the episode.
Bryan, what are you doing? It makes a noise every time.
Oh my God, I'm moving furniture. I mean, what's the problem?
You have no idea. Okay.
All right. So, we were discussing last week or the week before, Jeff, about how sometimes the sound gets all fucked up and we have to redo it because of the sound. Exhibit A, Bryan Gordon's fucking up the sound.
Well, thank God we're not going to have to redo this.
No, we're not. No. So we start out with, we see Larry David, and David Schwimmer now is playing the part of Leo. And we see them rehearsing in their black hats and they're dancing. And Patrick, the what was his name as the choreographer? It was Steven, I believe. Patrick is the actor's name. Steven is the choreographer. He says to Larry,
Larry, you've been doing your homework. I am all astonishment.
Really?
It is fantastic. Fierce. Absolutely
fierce.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was fierce.
Really fierce?
Really fierce.
You are fierce doing your homework. You are so fierce. And David Schwimmer's like, what about me? And the pas de deux, I have no idea what a pas de deux is whatsoever.
Jeff would know, right?
Jeff would.
Actually, if anyone would know, it's Susie because she's a big Broadway person. Her sister's a producer.
I was with a very famous ballet dancer yesterday, and I should have asked him, but I will ask him tomorrow.
What a pas de deux is, yes. Well, the fierce thing was really the beginning of. And then, we shot this in 2005, was it? And Larry taking on a persona of being
first time.
gay, right? Which was okay, and then you put it to 2023 and you question whether, well, this is, how would he do it today?
Well,
I think he would do it the same.
I think he would do it the same. And he's embracing, but the truth is the reason it works is obviously it's funny, but he's embracing the culture. He's embracing the culture. It's not him commenting or being mean-spirited. And so, but you know what's lost nowadays with people who are easily offended, who don't have sense of humor, nuance. So they just see black and white and say, you can't do that. It's difficult. Comedy's a little bit more difficult now.
Well, I don't think Larry really cares or listens to the political correctness, thus the beauty of this show.
And by the way, that's part of the popularity of the show.
Right.
Is all types of people love it for its lack of political correctness.
So he goes through this whole thing with Schwimmer about the pas de deux, and Larry says to him, if you want to do extra work, and Schwimmer says he can't because he's meeting his father. And we find out that his father is the creator and maker of Health Glow nuts. And Larry, right away, I have ideas about mixed nuts, so why not put a pecan with a blueberry or a dry cherry with a filbert? Which later on, that goes to the last season's episode about the mini bar and, all this stuff.
He loves bags of nuts. He
loves bags of nuts and trail mix. And he wants to pitch to David Schwimmer's dad. And David says, stay in your own element. So already we see Larry's creating problems with Schwimmer as he did with Ben Stiller. And Larry and Steven, the choreographer, go to get a snack. And we see Larry, what we were discussing, doing all Steven's extremely gay mannerisms. Fierce, and the way he's using his hands. And it's hilarious.
You and David are so good together. I'm so happy.
Love him.
Oh, God.
Love that guy.
Your chemistry together is fierce.
It is fierce.
Absolutely fierce. Totally.
It's fierce.
So much better than Ben, don't you think?
Ben was so bossy.
Yeah, he had that kind of entitled attitude. I don't care for it at all.
Totally. I know.
Hilarious.
It is fucking hilarious.
By the way, speaking of Larry, one thing that Larry does is great. He says to the piano player, too bad you can't see.
Michael.
He says to Michael, too bad you can't see. And that is so wildly inappropriate, but hilarious, and it's a real relationship. See, that's why that one works, because it's a real relationship, and Michael has taken advantage of Larry in earlier relationships.
Totally taken advantage of him.
But it is a real
almost
relationship.
On an abusive level. Michael's almost abusive to Larry.
I know.
Yes.
And then Steven, the choreographer, brings up his friend Anthony, who's a doctor, who's gorgeous and who just broke up with his boyfriend. So Larry then sees a bag of the Health Glow nuts.
Wait. You're passing.
What? What did I pass, darling?
Pirate's booty.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Pirate's booty. Pirate's booty.
You're embarrassing me. Stop it. No.
I can't have pirate's booty?
No, but you can have a pair.
First off, my favorite all-time snack, and just him singing a song holding up pirate's booty. I'm sure I went up to him after we shot that and went, that stays in. I'm sure, because I do that to him. I always say to him, and I think I've said it on the show before, I will wrestle you if you don't keep that in the show, because it's such a thing of beauty. And I love the little moments that have nothing to do with story. They're completely absurd, but that's my sense of humor. But still, God damn, I love that. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
I didn't even notice the pirate's booty. I didn't write it down.
Then you're not looking. You're not looking.
And I know that Larry loved pirate's booty, and his kids loved pirate's booty.
By the way, mine too. Pirate's booty is
and we
a
use
way to
that
live.
later on. Somewhere else is pirate's boot. Oh, I know what it was. It was the scene in season 11 where Kelly Cuoco, however you say her name, drops the pirate's booty on the floor.
Right. By the way, pirate's booty, best snack for comedy. Just saying.
Well, it's interesting how sharp the humor is on this show, and how everything means something. And I think the audience got to learn even story when you sort of, you don't say anything. If you say something, it has something to do with something.
Yeah, you would have thought the pirate's booty did by the way the show works.
Exactly.
And if you pay attention to the first 5 to 7 minutes, everything's laid out for you. Now, Larry David is brilliant, so he knows how to push the dominoes to where they end up, and you go, oh, but everything you need to know is in the first 5 to 7 minutes if you want to use Curb as a mystery.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So Larry sees the Health Glow nuts in the store, and he notices there's only 4 cashews. The cashew raisin balance is askew. And this is a typical Larry thing to notice and to be upset about. And next he's in his office, walks in singing, and Antoinette is like, hey, Broadway. And Larry starts talking about...
Hold on. A couple things. Number one, what's his name? The choreographer agrees with him. So Larry is not proved wrong.
About the Health Glow nuts, you mean?
Yes. And then I wrote store. No. Oh, I have filmed so many times in that store. I filmed a movie called I Want Someone to Eat Cheese With in that store. I forgot what else I shot. I shot one other thing. But 3 things, it's on Colfax, and the church across the street is where you have lunch. I'm just saying that's the way it works, because the church lets crews park there and such. That's how a church makes extra money. Yeah. And that little grocery mart was in my movie, was in the show, and something else I shot there. I can't remember right now. All right, Brian, I do fun facts that are fun for me.
Here's another fun fact for me is that David Schwimmer, I directed him on The Wonder Years 14 years before that, where he was...
he was the boyfriend, wasn't he? He was the boyfriend.
Olivia Diabo's boyfriend on The Wonder Years at the Sportsman's Club. How about that one? Yes.
And I'll
Sportsman's Lodge? You mean?
Sportsman's Lodge.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll give you a fun fact about David Schwimmer. I actually played his mother in a pilot. I'm not that much older than him, but I played his mother in a pilot.
I did that once too. I was in a movie with, what the hell's her name? Oh, Christy. Oh, fuck. Anyhow, I played her father. The movie before, she played Steve Carell's girlfriend in the movie, and Steve Carell and I are at the same exact age.
Well, that's like Anne Bancroft, in The Graduate with Dustin Hoffman. What was she, like 3 years older than him?
Yes.
The magic of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So Larry also mentions to Antoinette that David Schwimmer is fierce. So he's using that word. He's owning that word.
Exactly.
And Antoinette got Larry a gift of a picture frame. And in the picture frame, when you buy a picture frame, frequently
Keira Knightley. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brain dead.
But frequently when you buy a picture frame, there is a fake picture in the picture frame. So he's planning on putting a new picture, but he hadn't yet. So there's a picture of a very handsome young man in the picture frame.
Okay, I want to just give a little aside here. Yes. When I was younger, and this is going to be a weird one, I used to collect picture frames and keep the wrong picture in there. Keep the picture that came with it.
The original picture.
And I remember an aunt who they had one of those cubes. Remember the picture cubes? There's a picture on every side.
Lucite. They were Lucite.
Yeah, and, she was older, and I must have been like 10 or 11. And all the pictures that were in there, I discussed with her as if they were family's members. Here's the twins. Here's this. Here's that. My parents laughed, but they were very angry at me.
It's borderline mean, Jeff.
Well, no. It is mean.
Yeah.
But as a 10-year-old, it's juvenile, as opposed to if I did it now, it'd be terrible.
So then the dental hygienist calls
Delilah. You ignore me quite often, but I've never gotten a.
Delilah calls the dental hygienist from the episode before, and she says, "Let's get together." And she says, "You gave me the tongue sign in the episode prior."
So you were right, by the way. When we discussed that episode, I thought she can't do that, but yes, she did.
And he's like, "Why do you want to go out with me?" And she says he reminds him of her history teacher or whoever she says. And he says, was your history teacher an avuncular bald Jew? And then Patrick comes in the office because Larry left his, Stephen, the choreographer. Yeah.
But excuse me, just before that, I mean, just the backstory of it is that he went to a dentist. He went to his
we just discussed that in the episode. We talked.
You already did in the episode.
Yeah, we did that episode.
But I also think that when the choreographer comes in, I mean, who brings a script across town? I got the feeling, and I don't know if we do it. This is how I don't remember things. I got the feeling that he was developing a crush on Larry. Do we do that later? Because it certainly felt like that.
No, because really we'll see towards the end of this what happens.
Yeah.
I know with the picture, and then he sees
later on.
Yeah, the picture serves. See, all right, here's
I don't
where I'm not
recall
getting
that, Jeff, but we'll see.
Hold on, though. The purpose, sometimes people have to come into places where it might not make sense. Like under normal circumstances, if someone brought a script like that, you might think they have a crush on them. But I realize now it's because he looks at the picture.
Correct.
And thinks that Larry has a boyfriend.
Stephen comes in to give Larry the script that he left at the rehearsal hall. And we don't know that it's crosstown necessarily, whatever it is.
It's next door. It's in the office space next door.
It's in the office next door.
Yeah.
And he sees the framed picture sitting on Larry's desk with the handsome young man in the photograph. And we see Stephen looking at it and noting that, he's got a picture of a man on his desk. Okay, so next we're in the locker room.
Yeah.
At the golf club. And he tells you that and this is a great scene to show a clip of. He tells you that you're all set up. He's all set up with Delilah, the dental hygienist, for next Thursday.
Can I do this? Is it wrong?
You're never getting another opportunity like this for the rest of your life. You have to do this. It's a gift from your wife. She wants you to do it.
It's my 10th anniversary present.
It's your 10th anniversary present. You have to do it.
Oh, I hope I can do it. She's fierce.
Okay. At first I thought it was my imagination, but you're talking really gay. No. Really gay.
Get out of here.
Fierce? Where does fierce come from? And everything is this and that. What do you think?
Steve, the choreographer, says it all the time.
Steve, the choreographer, you've been spending a lot of time with him?
I probably picked up some of his mannerisms.
Some? All. You're him. You're him. You're Steve, the gay choreographer.
And you're like, you have to do this. You're never going to have another opportunity like this. You have to. And Larry says, she's fierce. And you're like, whoa.
Okay. In the script, there's nothing really about that in the script. That's the stuff that I do that makes Larry laugh, is when I question him. about anything that he's doing that is out of the ordinary, or for that matter, sometimes at the moment he doesn't think is out of the ordinary, and then I pull him into reality. And this was one of the ones where I killed him because I asked him very specific questions and had very specific opinions about it. And that's one of my favorite type of scenes to do with Larry.
And then Jeff goes into a whole thing. They discuss Steven, the choreographer, who's fierce. And
that was really a terrific scene. Yeah.
It was a great scene. And Jeff points out Larry's locker's open. His locker is filthy. It's disgusting. He's just got crap in there, and it's a mess. And then Norm comes in, Paul Mazursky, and we see Norm notice the locker, and something comes up about Marty. And Norm tells them that Leo Funkhauser, Marty's father, died. Hodgkins, and Larry's like, I thought he had the good Hodgkins, like in Party of Five.
Actually,
that's brilliant.
He should have said non-Hodgkins. If you go back and correct it. But he said Hodgkins, and then Larry says, I thought he had the good Hodgkins.
Right.
But maybe Paul, the way I took it, where you can throw it, is that Paul was just in general saying Hodgkins.
Right.
Can I just say something on the Paul Mazursky thing?
Add whatever you want, Bryan Gordon.
Okay, I will. But I just want to say, I'm sure all of you have felt this on Curb, because at that time, it was season 3 or 4? What was that, season 4?
This is season 4.
The 4. Yes. That the ball rolling and getting unbelievable actors to play on Curb. It just fell into our laps in such a great way. And here, I must say that, the Mazursky, the Scorsese thing, directing Scorsese, Marty, he hit his mark.
As a director, Bryan, is that intimidating to be directing other directors?
Well, I got to tell you something let me just go back to Scorsese, because he was nervous. And the reason he was nervous, and he told me, he says, I have done things as an actor, but as an improv actor, no. And he was sort of, and so when he began working on those scenes with Larry and everyone, he said, I'm a little, and I said, fine, well, everything's going to be good, and that kind of thing. But I was telling him that, it's all going to be good. You're going to be wonderful. Yeah. And as far as, and what Jeff was saying about Paul is that he played his character as a stern guy so well. But you were saying, Jeff, that he was in some ways, he hit the mark with that character so well.
He hit the mark, but also Paul, I'm not going to say he was a complex man, because he was not a complex. Yeah. I mean, he was so lovely and so funny, hysterical man.
100%.
But he could be like Larry, a bit of a curmudgeon, a bit of misanthrope, and he did not suffer fools. Bob Einstein, same way, did not suffer fools. So he went into full not suffer fools mode. That's where he was. And Norm, I recognized it. Yeah.
As Norm, you mean?
Yeah, as Norm, yes. I mentioned to him in that last scene, after good Hodgkins, bad Hodgkins, I tell him, I wouldn't go on my Hodgkins information based on Party of 5, which is important to the next thing.
Right. And then what do you call Sven? What is that what you in the golf club? What do you call him? The starter?
No, how do I fucking know?
You play golf?
No, I play 9-hole. You bring a few clubs.
Then I'll ask Jimmy when we get off. Then we're with Sven, who Larry assumes is Swedish, but he's not. He's Norwegian, and he takes umbrage at that.
Thank you, Sven.
You're welcome.
All right. What is that? Is that Swedish, Sven?
It's Norwegian.
I'm sorry. I thought Sven was a Swedish name.
It's not. So I don't look Swedish, do I? It's a big difference.
Apparently. What's the difference, may I ask?
Culture, looks, names, history, food.
Okay.
Dancing.
Sorry, honest mistake.
And, which I didn't know, that the Scandinavians, I learned this from Alec Berg. I don't know if Alec was, no, he was not on this season. They came on season 5 or 6. Yeah. But Alec Berg,
season 6, five or six,
who became one of our executive producers and directors, and who also
co-created
Silicon
Barry.
Valley and Barry and et cetera, et cetera. He told me that, because he's Norwegian, I believe, but that the Scandinavians are very insulted if you assume one is Swedish and one is Danish. And they have like this. The Swedes think the Danes are dirty, or the Danes think the Norwegians are stupid, or what. There's a lot of competition between the Scandinavians.
They make fun of
They're not a block.
They make fun of each other. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And next thing we know, Larry comes to rehearsal in a suit because he has to go to the funeral, Leo Funkhauser's funeral. And he tells David Schwimmer that he was in a grocery store and he saw his dad's glow, whatever that's called. What is it called again? Health Glow nuts.
Health Glow.
And that the cashew to raisin, he's skimping on the cashews, he tells David Schwimmer.
I mean, they're very good. They're delicious cashews, but, would it kill him to put 3 more cashews in there?
You know what it is? I mean, the cashews are expensive, first of all. There's a shortage right now. Yes.
Cashew shortage?
It's for the last several years.
I never read about a cashew shortage.
Well, that's because you're not in the industry.
Can I give him a little piece of advice?
Please.
I would call it raisins. And then let people be surprised by the cashews.
And David gets a little upset about this. There's a cashew shortage.
Well, by the way, it's obvious that he's lying about the cashew shortage.
Oh, yeah. Well, he doesn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And Larry says they should call it raisins and then be surprised by a couple of cashews. He always has good ideas, Larry. Always has good ideas.
He really does.
And he says, give me 3 more cashews. I'd be a happy man.
I laughed, yeah.
Next, we're at the funeral. And Larry tells Jeff that he got a letter from the club that he's being put on probation for having a dirty locker. And it was Norm who told on him, who snitched on him, little tattletale. And during the whole thing, Larry is eating from his Health Glow bag and complaining, not enough cashews. Jeff says there's not enough cashews. It's a whole problem. And then he confronts Norm and he tells him about the letter. And Norm says they don't like dirty lockers, and they have a stare down. Norm and Larry have a stare down.
Here's what I want to say about the stare down, because I don't want to gloss over this. There was that episode with a lot of stare downs that we had talked about this.
Yeah.
But this is this is one of the things. There's 2 big things besides Larry David's, great writing. The 2 things about it are, number 1, the characters actually laugh at each other, which you don't see that on shows. It's like someone will say something funny, audiences laugh, but none of the other actors react. That's your typical comedy. And that's not on the show. And also, unlike other shows, I was on a show where it was always faster, faster, faster. And I couldn't actually act because it was like a machine gun thing. And we really take our time. That stare is just taking its time. Everything has its, space to live. And that's what that occurred to me as I'm watching that scene. The great amount of space. Do you remember
the first stare down? What was the first stare down?
I thought it was, Susie, you corrected me. I thought it was in that episode.
I don't remember now, but we discussed it when it happened that it was the first stare down. It was in prior seasons. It was not in this season.
Yes, and I must admit, when I saw the first stare down, I wondered, is this going to work? And
by the way, hold on. On the set, here's the thing. I never quite enjoyed the stare down on the set.
Okay.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right. And then when it went on the air, people started, to me, doing the stare down.
Oh, really?
And it caught on like wildfire.
And they caught on, and it was like, and I think it was mentioned on a television show. I mean, it was like a late night show. They started doing like this.
And it became a thing.
Yeah.
It became a thing.
Yeah, and I never thought when I was watching it on set.
That and pretty, pretty, pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then there's an open coffin, which I found very odd at a Jewish funeral.
Well, hold on. You're going past him going down the line, which is terribly awkward, of of the Funkhauser family.
Well, but no, I'm not. That's I have that next.
Oh, okay.
I have that next. But first, they show the open coffin,
which by the way, is not a Jewish thing.
No, that's what I just said. I've never seen that at a Jewish.
I've never been to a funeral with an open
no,
casket.
Me neither.
So many things you just let, and I know we're into specifics here on this show, but that you let go. It's amazing how we all let go.
There was a story purpose.
Well,
exactly.
By the way, everything has to serve the story. That's all. At Second City, they taught us serve the scene.
Right.
Don't say anything that's not serving the scene.
Yes.
Right. And the open coffin.
And can I just say, in the evolution of this show, yarmulkes start to go away in various episodes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, by the way, there's a key yarmulke episode, Palestinian chicken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we had the yarmulke in a couple of episodes ago with Boris, the Russian guy, who Larry accused him of wearing the yarmulke to cover his bald spot.
Right.
Which was not true. And then he goes through the receiving line. And we see Saul Rubinek there, Saul Funkhauser and Marty and Marty's wife, which over the years, we were never sure if her name was Nan or Ann. And I think we changed it several times.
No. In real life, it was Ann. The character was Nan.
Nan, but frequently we'd call her Ann. We would mess it up all the time.
Yeah. So, Ann Ryerson.
Ann Ryerson, yes.
Ann Ryerson.
Yes.
Second City.
Second City.
I actually think she was in the committee, San Francisco.
I don't know the San Francisco one. No, I don't think she was.
No? Oh, okay.
I don't think, Brian. Yeah. I'm not going to say I know. I thought she was, but maybe she's not. Yeah.
Tell me, what was the committee? I don't even know what
that was. It was a group out of San Francisco. Oh, no.
Improv group?
She was in the committee. I'm thinking of the one out of San Francisco. No, the committee she was part of.
Wonderful.
I think so. But what was the one in San Francisco with Fred Willard? Which one was that? You know, I'm talking about Fred Willard and the group of guys. It was like four guys in the gal.
Ace Trucking Company.
No, it wasn't. There was a lot of groups in the 70s who had record contracts, and I had them all, you know.
Oh,
but the committee, she might have been part of the committee. I'm wrong on that.
Hessman was his name.
Howard Hessman, yes.
Howard Hessman. I remember because of Hessman. That's how I always remembered it. The thing about Ann Ryerson.
You know, that's how I remember George Carlin's name.
Of course, Garlin.
Yeah, that's how I never could remember that fella's name.
But Richard Lewis always calls Jeff Garland. Always refers to him as Jeff Garland.
Yeah. I don't know if you know he's doing that to mock me. Because he does know my name.
The thing about Anne was, you know, I regret that we never gave her a lot to do. She never had too much to do. She was always just,
I think
Marty's
towards
wife.
the end, she didn't really want to show up.
Yeah.
Because when you work with Bob, it's about Bob, which I loved.
And I will say this, Bob wasn't always gracious to her.
I don't think he was ever gracious to her.
No, he wasn't.
That's part of Bob's magic.
My darling
And I'm not
friend.
saying that sarcastically.
And speaking of Bob, so Larry then is on the receiving line, and Larry asks Marty for the weatherman's tip.
Very sorry. Sorry about your dad.
Thanks, Larry.
He was a good man.
He was a great man.
Maybe we'll play golf sometime when you feel better, feel up to it. If you ever want to give me that weatherman's tip, you know.
Right now, I'm in mourning.
No, I'm not saying now, but some other time. You know. We'll talk about it. Do it. You know, do what you have to do.
Before that, it's the first real. I mean, it's one of those moments that the minute it comes out of Bob's mouth, it's funny and it's so simple. Larry looks at him and goes, "He was a good man." And Bob, with not even taking a beat, "He was a great man." And it's just so funny. You wouldn't think an exchange like that would be funny. And the way he says great man and the look on his face, tremendous. And by the way, if you think Larry, you know, the way he laughs, where he like explodes and tries not to laugh, the minute Bob said great man, Larry lost it.
And then Larry sees Jeff Rosenthal, who was a writer on Party of Five. And
by the way, Jeff Rosenthal in real life was was actually a writer and
Party
a
of Five?
performer. No, he never worked on Party of Five.
And this is where he gets to go ask about the Hodgkins. And he's like, remember when Charlie had Hodgkins? Didn't he have the good Hodgkins? And then he's explained there's Hodgkins, there's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It's better, but it's not good. And I think this is all very confusing. And then Larry goes over to the coffin, and what does he see?
Hold on. So just to clarify something, because it's really clarified in this scene, Hodgkin's is, if there is, it's the better Hodgkin's because there's a higher survival rate.
Correct.
Non-Hodgkin's.
Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Lymphoma is a big bowl of fuck.
Bad.
Yeah.
But the good Hodgkin's isn't so good either.
No, it's better Hodgkin's. That's what he's saying. It's better. And by the way, when Larry comes to the coffin and tells me about it, I also say, not good, better. Like,
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Larry looks at the coffin and he sees Leo Funkhauser is holding a golf club. It's a 5-wood. And Larry notices.
Brian, the way you shot that up at Larry's face looking was great because as an audience, the way he's looking and the way the shot's set up, you have no fucking clue what's about to happen. You don't have any clue. And that was a great shot.
And we see that it's Larry's 5-wood in the coffin that he's holding, and he's going to be buried with it. And Larry makes the assumption that Sven put Larry's club in there because he was pissed off that he called Sven Swedish, not Norwegian. So to get back at him, he took his 5-wood and he put it in the coffin. And Larry's apoplectic about it. It's not replaceable. It's 10 years old. He wants that 5-wood back, and it's kind of unconscionable that he should be buried with Larry's 5-wood. It's not right.
Who gives a shit? Leave well enough alone. You lose a guy died, you lose the 5-wood.
Well, not according to Mr. David.
No, so because that's what the show needs.
Then he asks he asks Jeff, you got your clubs in your car, in your trunk? And Jeff's like, yeah, but I'm not giving him I like the feel. You like the feel. But yours can be replaced. You can get your club anywhere. And Larry says, I'll buy it for you today. And then they're at the car. They're getting Jeff's club. Then they go back to the funeral, and Jeff stands watch while Larry replaces.
I was just going to say.
Interrupt me at any point.
Okay.
Yeah. One of my favorite visual scenes is Jeff and Larry walking back in with Larry with his stiff leg, with the club buried in.
He's got the club down his leg.
Down his leg.
Well, by the way, the tone starts at the trunk. At the trunk, we're looking very serious. I even put my arm up to block anyone seeing the club. And then you continue with the limp in there. That was the second limp. I think the episode before this, he's limping.
The weatherman, he's limping.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he fell in the toilet.
Even when you go into by the coffin, when you are guarding the coffin, Jeff, in a way that, this is real, this is serious. You turn your back to the camera. It's like, you're maintaining, you're like Mossad.
He's on the lookout.
Yeah.
He's on the lookout.
It's great. Yeah.
And Larry fighting with his hands.
Yeah, really. Well, he's in rigor mortis already. He's trying to pry the golf club out of Leo's hand.
And he finally
gets
tight.
it. Yeah. And he finally gets it, and he replaces it. He replaces the golf club into Jeff's golf club into Leo's hand and takes his own and puts it back down his leg. And then we cut to Saul is giving a eulogy for his Uncle Leo. And I love this eulogy. He loved a good walk. You see this man is as dull as can be, He liked He liked ginger ale. If anybody says in my eulogy, she liked ginger ale.
Hold on. He had Saul, I got to give him credit. He had the part of the couplet that's beautiful. I wrote it down. He loved ginger ale, a nice with the fizz.
Yes.
A nice with the fizz.
A nice with the fizz.
Thought, well, that's very Jerry Lewis, a nice with the fizz, because Jerry used to leave words out, but you knew what he was saying. But when he said a nice with the fizz, I loved that.
Yes.
He loved a nap. He loved Jeopardy. I mean, the most, simplistic. Yes. things.
What was it they did every Tuesday? I forgot. That's really good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
There was one moment when Larry was sitting there with Jeff, is that the guy had dandruff.
In front of him, yes.
Got caught. Right. I remember that.
And that was just one little moment, and you guys, your faces were like, oh my God, this is horrible. That was...
Well, of course, didn't serve the show. No. See you later, alligator. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, wait, who goes over to the casket? Is it Marty or is it Saul?
No, it's Saul when he calls Marty up.
Saul goes over to the casket and he says, is this his 5-wood?
Is this his 5-wood? No, someone must have switched it.
What is that?
Is that a cashew? Yeah, it's a cashew.
Somebody switched the 5-wood, and Marty picks up a cashew. And from the back of the room in the audience, Norm gets up and says, is that a cashew? Because he saw Larry eating the Healthflow cashews.
Susie, you
and
just played it.
Stares at Larry.
Susie, you played it like yourself. The way Paul plays it is like, excuse me, is that a cashew? And then it starts. But he does it in an inquisitive way. No one would have any idea why he's asking that.
Right. And everyone stares at Larry. And then we cut to our house.
Well, let's take a step back here. What was the episode that we just had? Oh, it's the one before where Larry can't stand up because of his back.
Yes.
And remember I was talking about how it bothered me, even when we were filming it, that all the people from the far side of the room to the next table began yelling at him and caused chaos, and how it made me nuts. What's beautiful about this scene, the way Bryan directed it, everyone just gives him a dirty look, which is the way it would be played, dirty looks. And you're feeling, Larry, the pressure. And if there's ever any excitement, it's in the look on Larry's face of everyone staring at him. That's the action of the scene. All the staring sets up Larry to be, oh, I'm really fucked and I'm horrified. A little lesson.
This is one of my favorite scenes, period.
Me too.
And I will always say it only because Jeff and Larry are backed up in their chair, in their seat, is with such, the strength of Susie it's so fucking powerful. We're crawling in their seats.
The truth of the matter is, Cheryl cares about that club. I care about that club. Sammy goes to day camp there with the same kids she's been with for years, and you two don't give a shit about anybody but yourself. You're a fucking narcissist, okay?
You are powerful.
Thank you. Well,
and you've been called on the carpet.
I'm pissed off, and they're all sitting and I'm standing, which, you know.
Well, by the way, the problem also is, unlike she's completely right. There's nothing in this that she's wrong. She's right.
Well, yes, absolutely. As usual. And, you know, the club had your name on it. And what kind of fucking idiot are you? And where's Cheryl going to play tennis? And then Larry comes up. She's not that, because I start carrying on what a great tennis player Cheryl is. Larry's like, she's not that good. And I'm just like, it's all a big fucking game to you two. And Larry starts carrying on. The 5-wood was irreplaceable. He starts to justify. And then, you know, it was our social life. We'll show a clip of that scene. And then Cheryl comes up with, the Beverly Park Country Club is accepting new members. And I'm like, no, there's like 3 fucking Jews in that whole place. It's not going to work. And it's Wasp City. And Larry's like, how am I even going to pass the interview? To which I say to him, exactly, this Jew face over here, which is a line that, Jeff, you'll appreciate this. That's what I used to call Carrie Hoffman. That's where I got that. Did you
really call Carrie Hoffman, who owns Stand Up New York in New York?
Stand Up New York in New York. And I used to call him Jew face because he had the
Jew face.
Yes.
He wasn't. He had a Jew face.
I stole from myself in this scene, as we all steal from ourselves all the time.
Oh, that's hysterical.
I'm saying this Jew face would stick out like a sore thumb. And then he starts fighting with me. I'm more Gentile-y than you. And I love that whole take. And
that
then
is gold.
Larry mentions that he'd have to walk at this golf course unless he had a doctor's note, and to which I go into, wouldn't hurt you to exercise a little bit, Jeff. And then Larry gets up.
By the way, a line Larry says in this scene is, I don't know any doctors.
I don't know any doctors.
I don't know any doctors, which is so absurd. That's really funny.
It's absurd because all he does is go to doctors. We have scenes in doctors' offices all the time, and dentists. And then Larry gets up to go to the bathroom, and Oscar is lying on the floor in the bathroom, and he won't get up. Larry asks him to get up. He won't get up. And then what happens?
Oscar bites his wiener.
Oscar bites his wiener.
And then there's actually
Oscar Wiener.
A callback.
Oscar Mayer.
There's a callback whether should I sit down or should I?
Yes,
correct. Because
in past episodes,
in the previous episode, he is peeing sitting down.
He covers himself so wonderfully.
Yes,
you know.
Yes.
Yeah, he's always got the whole, the arc.
Whole thing going. Yes.
He comes running out of the bathroom with his skinny little legs and his pants around his ankles.
Well, hold on, hold on. They're tidy whities, which is what makes it even more funny.
Yes.
I always kid him about that. He's ahead of his time in terms of showing tidy whities on screen. Absolutely.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I mean,
Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston did it on the comedy he was on. I forget what was the name of that show.
Malcolm in the Middle.
Malcolm in the Middle. He wore his tidy whities on there, and of course he wore them on Breaking Bad.
Well, boy, that's specific.
Yeah. And then I wore them on TV not too much later. And I remember calling Bryan Gordon and I said, "Can I recover from this?" I swear.
Bryan Cranston. And as a matter of fact, Bryan Gordon, you directed the Bryan Cranston episode in season 9, if I recall.
Yes, but
so it all comes full circle.
Yes. But you did one with your whiteys on in the bed. I remember that, Jeff. What episode was that?
I don't know.
Yes,
what was I doing in bed?
We'll come to it.
We'll come to it.
We'll see when we get to it.
I remember. Yes.
Okay.
And then we're in the ER waiting room. And, Larry's carrying on that dog should be put to sleep. And it's not the first, Jeff says, it's not the first time with you and that dog. Because prior, I thought the dog had given Larry an erection, and I saw it. Jeff even says he put the dog, it got an erection. He tells Cheryl and Susie saw it. And he's like, I was petting the dog and I was just adjusting my pants. And Cheryl says, is that why Ted didn't want you to take care of his dog? This is all from the prior episode. And then the doctor comes in, clearly gay. I know that's politically incorrect.
I forgot the name of the actor, which also bugs me.
William Ragsdale, was it?
William Ragsdale, who was on a TV show called
The Head?
Yeah, Herman's Head. But he was in a movie that holds up and is great called Fright Night. Fright Night is just the greatest. And so if you can pick that
scary?
Up on Netflix, a lot of it is scary, but it's a comedy.
I can't watch it.
No, you could. Believe me, you could watch it.
So Larry
it's about
is
a vampire who moves next door and has eyes for William Ragsdale's mother. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then Larry is in the examination room with the doctor, and he tells the doctor very reluctantly,
a dog. A dog. Bit me over there. Bit my penis. A dog bit your penis. Okay, well, that sounds painful. Sorry.
And then we find out that Larry David is Larry David, and the doctor is Steve, the choreographer's best friend.
I love the shot in that where Larry is absorbing and realizing the story.
Yes.
He's realizing the doctor is
Evan.
Yes, absolutely.
And the guy who just broke up with his partner.
Exactly.
And we get the sense that Stephen told Evan about Larry and the framed picture on his desk. Because we see that Evan might be a little interested in more than just the penis bite. And Evan says to him, all right, give me Mr. Baggy, which was like, whatever. So now we are at one of my favorite scenes of all time. And this is Larry and Cheryl's interview at Beverly Park with Ken Howard and James Sicking. And
let me tell you a story about Ken Howard. He and I were, I'll say, acquaintances. We became friends. He was the president of the Screen Actors Guild.
Correct.
And they wanted to make it SAG-AFTRA. AFTRA was against it. Some people in SAG were against it. But the only way that the actors, of which I was one, could deal with the studios was at one unified unit. Because if you remember, if it's shot on video, it's AFTRA. Shot on film, it's SAG. But as everything became digital, for the most part, they had to do it. So he said to me, out of nowhere one day, he called me, I think. He said, look, I need a favor. And I said, what? He goes, I need the SAG-AFTRA thing to pass.
Merger.
I assume you're for it. Yeah, the merge. I said, I'm absolutely for it. It has to. He goes, will you run for the national board for SAG? And that I want you to do. And when I won, he pulls me aside and he says, it's not just helping to get this passed. I want you to be funny and say whatever's on your mind at any point. Go up and ask, because there's a microphone up front. Ask absurd questions. Your job is to lighten the room, because the room gets really heavy. Now, in the room, there was a group of people who were very much against the merger. And every time I did anything that was funny, the anger on their face was almost like from a movie of like the straight-laced guy getting pissed off the head of the university or whatever it was. And I had a ball doing that. And by the way, from that's where Ken, did he do the show before or after? Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, that was, and by the way, one of my favorite shows when I was in high school was The White Shadow.
Great show.
And Thomas Jefferson in 1776.
Yes, but that's more your speed.
Yes,
because it's a musical. I like the one about basketball.
And you know who played his wife was Blythe Danner.
Oh, Blythe Danner.
In 1776. Jeff already talked about his relationship with Ken Howard. And it's Larry pretending to be a wasp, basically, which is hilarious.
Could I ask you a few more questions about organizations that you belong
Absolutely.
to? Please.
Absolutely.
Good.
Well, I'm a moose and an elk.
You're a moose and an elk?
I'm a moose and an elk,
That's
yes.
extraordinary.
Yeah. I'm in the Rotary Club.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
What other organizations are you members of?
We're in the Council for Conservative Citizens, National Right to Life Committee.
Yes.
We're in the Heritage Foundation.
What do you remember about shooting this scene, Bri?
I remember laughing, but I also remember how sharp it was, just in terms of the specifics of Larry not only sailing and needing a captain occasionally aboard, but also he was a member of the Rotary, and he was a member of various conservative.
Hold on, he was an elk and a moose.
Yeah,
an elk and a moose.
The references were so Republican and just openly Republican.
Right to Life Committee, he said.
But also, hold on, the
Council
Republican
for Conservative Citizens.
and very not Jewish, as not Jewish as can be. And I love the way, but here's the thing. I don't think he improvised those. I think he thought about them ahead of time and very prepared.
We put a list together of conservative groups. That I do remember.
Yeah. And that he and Cheryl met at a Reagan fundraiser, and that Larry, polo is more of his game. Polo is his game.
He developed his golf swing from getting hit in the head with a polo mallet.
And I love how Jim Sicking is like, well, yes, it is quite a similar kind of a swing. And they all just played so beautifully together.
So well. And Cheryl saying they were more of a December.
Yes, romance.
He says, he says October, I think.
October. That was.
Yes, I mean, there's so much gold in this scene. We're gonna play a clip of it. Just little things like when Larry takes his glasses off and he puts the tip in his mouth, and he's thinking. There was just so many little subtle things about this scene. Do you remember how many takes you did on this scene?
Not that many. I don't think we did that many. Only because I think it was so sharp. Maybe 2 or 3 at the top, just going through it, because I remember everybody feeling so good about this. It really ran so well. But the questioning of each one was so dead on. How the two of you meet was, and
Larry saying,
delicious.
I think I noticed a log cabin Republican in the parking lot. Just there's so many. This scene is hilarious, and the elk and the moose. What's funnier than I'm an elk and a moose?
And a moose. Yeah.
And then in the very end, it's all going very well, and you feel like they're going to be accepted. And Larry gives them his doctor's note because of the polo accident that he was in. He could no longer walk the course. He needs a cart.
But therein lies the beauty of Curb, which is that was set up so early, and it was used, and it was perfect.
There's very few things that are left hanging. There's very few things that are not used. And then, of course, the denouement of the episode is Larry is in his office where he calls Delilah, the dental hygienist, who he's supposed to have an assignation with.
Hey, Delilah, it's Larry David.
Hi, Larry.
Sorry, but I'm not going to be able to make it tonight.
Why not?
A dog bit my penis.
And tells her he's not going to be able to make it tonight because the dog bit his penis. The end.
Hangs up. Very funny. By the way, because I'm always very self-conscious, I'm yawning a lot. And then I got very excited because I thought, you didn't have coffee this morning. You didn't sleep. All right. I got that out.
Thank you, Jeff, for sharing. Bryan, any last words about directing this episode?
18 years ago. It was on 18 years ago. And it's as fresh as today.
By the way, same for me, too. I remember locations. I remember where I was standing. That comes flying back.
Yeah, and that is because I can remember other shows I've done that I have no memory of.
Bryan.
Hold on. The Michael Richards show that we did together. The only thing I remember from that show was the sideburns. He shaped the sides of his head.
I do believe also that this is the first time you directed me.
But not the last. If I may just ask you, in terms of your own wardrobe and what you go through to put it, at that point in time, where were you in terms of your own design of how you were going to dress?
I think I was fully Susie Green, but as the seasons progressed, got more so.
What we discussed is this is stuff that she's making that she eventually, because in the last episode, I believe you wore one of your bedazzled sweatshirts. Because it was, I forgot, Buffalo Bill. It was a team that made no sense for you to wear, no affiliation. But it's popping in at this point, Bryan. Yeah. It's popping in, and it'll soon be taken over.
Wait till people see the season 12, unless they've seen it already by the time this airs. My God.
Season 12 is a big ball of wow. Basically,
can't wait.
It was wow. That's all I can say.
You blast through it in a way that, is just gives it such.
Thank you, love. The wardrobe was actually my idea. I mean, I worked in conjunction with our designers, but the way she dressed was my idea.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you for coming, Bryan. We hope you'll come back on a later season.
Thank you.
All right,
love you all.
Bryan. Thank you so very much.
And we'll see you all next week. Bye, Jeffy.
Bye.